The company awards dinner was supposed to end at 9. It was 10:30 and my wife Lena was still grinding against her work husband on the dance floor like they were auditioning for a porno. I'm Eli Parker, 42 years old, owner of Parker Construction. I build things that last. Houses, commercial buildings, parking garages, real stuff, solid stuff. Not like the bullshit tech company where my wife works, pushing pixels around and calling it innovation. Another beer, Eli? The waitress looked sympathetic. Everyone could see what was happening on that dance floor.
Sure, thanks.
I kept my voice steady, watching Lena's hand slide down Noah Bennett's back. Noah, the golden boy VP with his Tesla and his gym membership and his perfect teeth, the guy who'd been mentoring my wife for the past 6 months. Lena threw her head back, laughing at something Noah whispered in her ear. Her red dress, the one I'd bought her for our anniversary, rode up her thighs as she pressed closer to it. Jesus Christ, Eli, aren't you going to do something? That was my buddy Frank from high school, sitting at the next table with his wife. Like what? Like go over there and remind your wife she's married. I took a long sip of beer. Nah.
Let her dance.
Frank's wife, Carol, leaned forward. Honey, everyone's staring. This is embarrassing. She was right. Half the room was watching the show. Lena's friend, Cara, was even filming it on her phone, giggling like a teenager. The other half were pretending not to look, which was almost worse. The song ended, but Lena didn't come back to our table. Instead, she and Noah headed to the bar, his hand on the small of her back, guiding her like she belonged to him. I pulled out my phone and texted Frankie, my foreman. It's on. Plan A. 3 dots appeared immediately, then, about damn time, boss. Lena finally returned 20 minutes later, lipstick smudged, hair mussed. She slid into her chair without looking at me. Having fun? I asked. It's a work event, Eli. I'm networking. That what they're calling it now? She shot me a look. Don't start. Wouldn't dream of it. I raised my beer. To networking. The ride home was silent except for the radio. Lena stared out the passenger window, still glowing from her networking session. I drove carefully, thinking about the photos Frankie had taken from across the street last Tuesday. Lena and Noah entering the Lakeside Motel at 2 p.m. Leaving at 4:30. Her car parked behind the building where it wouldn't be seen from the road. You're quiet tonight, Lena said as we pulled into our driveway. Just tired. Long day. Maybe if you tried harder to fit in at these events. Fit in how? By dancing with other people's wives? She slammed her car door. God, you're impossible. Inside, she went straight upstairs. I heard the shower running, then the hairdryer. By the time I got to bed, she was already asleep, or pretending to be. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe. Tomorrow morning, everything would change. Frankie had done his job perfectly. So had Mrs. Gannon, our 70-year-old neighbor, who saw everything and forgot nothing. At 7 a.m., I was in the kitchen making coffee when Lena came downstairs in her robe. She looked beautiful, even with bedhead and no makeup. That made what was coming both easier and harder. Morning, she mumbled, reaching for a mug. Sleep well? Fine. She poured coffee, added cream. What time did we get home? I feel like I was hit by a truck. Maybe that's guilt. She froze. What's that supposed to mean? Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Lena frowned. Who's here this early? I'll get it. I walked to the front door, knowing exactly who I'd find. Noah's wife, Jessica, stood on my porch, holding a manila envelope. She was a small woman, maybe 5'2", with short brown hair and tired eyes. Behind her stood Mrs. Gannon, clutching her purse like a weapon. Morning, ladies. Come on in. Lena appeared in the kitchen doorway, tying her robe tighter. Jessica, what are you doing here? Jessica held up the envelope. I think you know. I have no idea what... Cut the shit, Lena. Jessica's voice was steady, but her hands shook. I know about the motel. I know about the credit card charges. I know about everything. Lena's face went white. Jessica, I think there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, Mrs. Gannon spoke for the first time. I saw you two last Tuesday, and Thursday, and last weekend when you told Eli you were shopping with Kara. Mrs. Gannon, I don't know what you think you saw. I saw my neighbor's wife acting like a whore. The old woman's voice was ice. And I saw that man's hands all over you in places they don't belong. Jessica opened the envelope and pulled out photographs. Lena and Noah kissing in the motel parking lot. Lena and Noah entering room 237. Noah's hand on Lena's ass as she unlocked the door. Kara sent these to your husband by mistake, Jessica said. She meant to send them to her sister, I guess. Something about Lena's new boy toy. Lena sank into a kitchen chair. Eli, I can explain. Can you? I poured myself more coffee, perfectly calm, because I'd love to hear this. It's not what it looks like. What does it look like, honey? Don't call me honey. Not like that. Jessica laughed bitterly. She's worried about pet names? Lady, you've been screwing my husband for 6 months. It wasn't supposed to happen, Lena said. We connected. At work. He understands me. He understands you? I set down my mug carefully. What don't I understand, Lena? Help me out here. You wouldn't get it. Try me. She looked up, and for a second, I saw the woman I'd married 15 years ago. Then her face hardened. You're not ambitious, Eli. You're content building other people's dreams instead of chasing your own. Noah has vision. He's going places. Like the Lakeside Motel? Fuck you. Mrs. Gannon gasped. Jessica started crying. I just nodded. There we go. The real Lena comes out. I turned to Jessica. You okay to drive home? I think so. Good. Take those pictures. You'll need them for your lawyer. After they left, Lena and I sat in silence. She stared at the table. I watched her, memorizing this moment. So what happens now? She finally asked. Now? Now, you get to see what happens when you humiliate a man in public. Eli, please. We can work this out. It was a mistake. Stupid mistake. The mistake was me trusting you. I'll end it with Noah. I'll quit my job if I have to. We can start over. I almost laughed. Start over? Lena, half the town watched you dry humping another man last night. The other half is going to hear about it by lunch. So what? People will forget. Will they? Will they forget when they see you at the grocery store, at church, at the next company party? She started crying then. Real tears, not the fake ones she used when she wanted something. I'm sorry, Eli. I'm so sorry. Yeah, you are sorry, but not the way you mean. I stood up and grabbed my keys. I'm going to work. When I get home tonight, I want you gone. Gone where? I don't give a damn. Maybe Noah has room at his place. Oh, wait, his wife's throwing him out too. Eli, wait. But I was already out the door. At the construction site, Frankie was waiting with coffee and a shit-eating grin. How'd it go, boss? Like clockwork. Jessica? Played her part perfectly. Turns out she's been suspicious for months. Just needed proof. And Mrs. Gannon? That old lady's tougher than a $2 steak. She's been documenting everything. Times, dates, license plates. Better than a private investigator. I looked around the site. We were building a strip mall. Nothing fancy, but solid work. Good foundations. Unlike my marriage. What's next? Frankie asked. Phase 2. You still got that friend at the phone company? Yeah. Why? I want to know every call, every text between Lena and Loverboy for the past 6 months. That legal? She's still my wife. Joint account, joint bills. Perfectly legal. Frankie grinned. I'll make some calls. By noon, I had everything. Screenshots of text messages that would make a sailor blush. Voicemails where Noah called me that construction gorilla. And Lena agreed I was too stupid to figure anything out. Photos they'd sent each other that I definitely didn't want to see, but needed for evidence. The best part was the planning. They'd been careful, or thought they had been. Lena told Noah she was visiting her sister in Portland last month. Actually spent 3 days with him in a bed and breakfast in Vermont. She told me Noah was just a friend, while texting him about how much she loved his cock. But the real goldmine was their plan to get rid of me. We just need to be patient, Noah had texted. Once I get the promotion, I'll have enough saved to help with your divorce lawyer. We can make sure you get the house and half his business. Lena's response, I can't wait to be free of him. He has no idea what's coming. I forwarded everything to my lawyer, Maggie Chen, who I'd known since high school. Jesus Christ, Eli, she said when she called me back. This is brutal. Can we use it? All of it. She's not just cheating. She's planning to take you for everything you're worth. Any judge will see this as premeditation. Good. What about the business? With this evidence, she'll be lucky to get spousal support, let alone half your company. When I got home that evening, Lena's car was in the driveway. I found her in the living room with 2 suitcases and a cardboard box. I thought I'd told you to be gone. I don't have anywhere to go. Noah's wife changed the locks. Not my problem. Eli, please. Can't we talk about this like adults? Adults don't fuck their coworkers in cheap motels. She flinched. I know you're angry. Angry? I laughed. Honey, I'm way past angry. I'm in a whole different zip code. What do you want from me? I want you to understand something. You think I'm just some dumb construction worker who builds things with his hands while you push papers and call it important. But I built something with you. 15 years of marriage, a home, a life. And you tore it down for what? Some pretty boy with a fancy car? It's not about the car. It's about respect. And you don't have any. Not for me, not for our marriage, not for yourself. She was crying again. I made a mistake. No, a mistake is forgetting to pay the electric bill. A mistake is burning dinner. What you did was a choice. You chose him over me, over us, over everything we built together. So what happens now? I picked up one of her suitcases. Now you leave. And tomorrow you get to explain to everyone why your marriage fell apart. You're going to tell people? I don't have to tell anyone anything. You did that yourself last night, remember? Dancing with your boyfriend in front of half the town. She followed me to the door. Where am I supposed to go? Call Kara. She seemed to enjoy watching you make a fool of yourself. Maybe she'll let you crash on her couch. Eli, please. Goodbye, Lena. I closed the door and turned the deadbolt. Through the window, I watched her load her car and drive away. Then I opened a beer and called Maggie. She's gone, I said. How are you holding up? Better than expected. What's our next move? I'll file the papers tomorrow morning. With the evidence we have, this should be quick and clean. Good. And Maggie? I want everyone to know why. Every detail, every text message, every photo. I want it all on the public record. Are you sure? That's going to be humiliating for her. That's the point. The next morning, I was at the site early when my phone started buzzing. First call was from my brother. Dude, is it true? About Lena and that guy from her work? Where'd you hear that? It's all over Facebook. Kara posted something about home-wrecking whores and tagged like 50 people. I grinned. Kara, Lena's supposed best friend, had apparently decided to distance herself from the scandal by becoming the town crier. The second call was from my mother. Eli, honey, I'm so sorry. Your father and I never liked that woman, but we didn't want to say anything. Thanks, Mom. Are you okay? Do you need anything? I'm fine, just taking it one day at a time. Well, you know you're better off without her. A woman who would do that isn't worth the powder to blow her to hell. My mother, the diplomat. By lunch, I had gotten calls from 6 different people, all wanting to know if the rumors were true. I gave everyone the same answer. Ask Lena. Frankie found me in the trailer, looking over blueprints. You see the news? He asked. What news? Noah got fired. Apparently Jessica sent all those photos to his boss. Something about workplace conduct violations. Huh. Shame. Yeah, real shame. Also, word is Lena's staying at the Riverside Motel, the shitty one by the highway. How poetic. You want to know the best part? Kara's telling everyone that Lena tried to get her to lie about where she was all those times. Kara's pissed that Lena dragged her into it. So much for friendship. Yeah, well, you know what they say about honor among thieves. That afternoon, Lena called me. Eli, we need to talk. We're talking. In person, please. Why? Because I want to explain. Really explain, not just apologize. Fine. Meet me at the Iron Kettle at 7. The Iron Kettle was the local dive bar where everyone went to drink and gossip. If Lena wanted to talk, she could do it in front of an audience. I got there first and grabbed a booth in the back. The place was packed for a Tuesday night, which meant word had gotten around. Half the town wanted to see the show. Lena walked in at 7:15, wearing jeans and a sweater I'd never seen before. She looked tired, older somehow. The stress was getting to her. She slid into the booth across from me. Thanks for meeting me. Talk. I know you hate me right now. I don't hate you, Lena. I hate what you did. There's a difference. Is there? Yeah. I loved you. For 15 years. I loved you more than anything. I would have done anything for you. Died for you. And you threw it away for what? 6 months of sneaking around with some corporate pretty boy? It wasn't just about the sex. No? What was it about? She looked around the bar, noticing all the eyes on us. Can we go somewhere private? This is as private as it gets. Now answer the question. He made me feel alive, important, like I mattered. You didn't matter to me? Not the way I wanted to. You were content with our life, with our routine. Get up, go to work, come home, watch TV, go to bed, the same thing every day. That's called stability, Lena. That's called building something together. It felt like dying. The words hit harder than I expected. Around us, the bar had gone quiet. Everyone was listening. So you decided to burn it all down instead of talking to me about it. I tried to talk to you. Remember last year when I said I wanted to travel more? You said we couldn't afford it. When I said I wanted to go back to school, you said I didn't need more education. When I said I felt stuck, you told me I was being dramatic. I remember those conversations differently, but this wasn't the place to argue details. So you found someone who told you what you wanted to hear. He listened to me. He saw me as more than just a wife who keeps house and makes dinner. I saw you as my partner, my equal, the person I chose to build a life with. Your equal? Eli, you made every major decision without consulting me. The house, the cars, the vacations. You'd come home and announce what we were doing, and I was supposed to smile and go along with it. That's not how I remember it. That's because you weren't listening. The bartender, Tom, came over with 2 beers we hadn't ordered. On the house, he said quietly. Lena took a sip and continued. I'm not saying what I did was right. It was wrong, and I know that. But I felt invisible in our marriage, like I was just there, taking up space. So instead of working on our marriage, you decided to work on Noah. A few people at the bar snickered. Lena's face reddened. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? Let me tell you what's not fair. What's not fair is finding out your wife has been lying to you for 6 months. What's not fair is watching her grind on another man in front of half the town. What's not fair is reading text messages where she calls you stupid and plans to take half your business. You read my texts? Joint phone plan, remember? Everything's in my name. That's a violation of my privacy. Privacy? I laughed, and it wasn't a nice sound. You gave up privacy when you started fucking another woman's husband. The bar was dead silent now. Lena looked around, realizing how this looked. Her having drinks with her husband while everyone in town listened to the details of her affair. I want half the house, she said quietly. You want what now? Half the house. Half the business. I'm entitled to it. Based on what? 15 years of marriage. I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots Frankie had gotten me. Based on these text messages where you and Noah planned to take that construction gorilla for everything he's worth? Her face went white. You can't use those in court. Watch me. Eli, please, I know I hurt you, but I deserve something. I gave you 15 years of my life. And I gave you 15 years of mine. The difference is, I was faithful. So what am I supposed to do? I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have any money. Noah won't return my calls. Shocking. It's almost like he was using you. Don't. What? Don't point out that your knight in shining armor dumped you the second things got complicated? Don't mention that he's probably already looking for his next conquest. Stop it. You know what I think? I think Noah saw an unhappy wife and decided to have some fun. I think he told you everything you wanted to hear, got what he wanted, and now he's done with you. That's not true. No? Then where is he? Why isn't he here supporting you through this difficult time? She didn't have an answer for that. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to get a lawyer. I'm going to get a lawyer. We're going to divide our assets according to what the law says, not what you think you deserve. And then we're going to go our separate ways. What if I don't want a divorce? Then you should have thought about that before you spread your legs for another man. Several people at the bar gasped. Lena started crying. I made a mistake, Eli. Can't you forgive me? Some mistakes can't be forgiven. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed. So that's it? 15 years and you're just throwing it away? I'm not throwing anything away. You already did that. I stood up and threw a 20 on the table. Good luck, Lena. You're going to need it. As I walked toward the door, I heard her call out. You'll regret this, Eli. You'll realize what you lost. I turned back. I already know what I lost. A wife who didn't respect me, didn't love me enough to stay faithful, and didn't have the guts to end our marriage before starting a new one. You're right. I'll regret losing that. The bar erupted in whispers as I left. 3 weeks later, the divorce was final. Lena got $20,000 and her car. I kept the house, the business, and my self-respect. She left town the day the papers were signed. I heard she moved to Portland, where her sister lived. Noah, meanwhile, was working at a call center in Manchester, his corporate career over. I was at the Iron Kettle, celebrating with Frankie, when Kara walked in. She'd been avoiding me since the story broke, probably feeling guilty about her role in documenting Lena's affair. Eli, she said, approaching our table, can I talk to you? Sure. I want you to know I had no idea how far things had gone with Lena and Noah. I thought it was just flirting. But you were taking pictures. For gossip, you know how I am. I didn't think... I never thought she'd actually cheat on her husband? Yeah, well, she did. And now everyone knows about it. Are you okay? Really? I considered the question. Was I okay? My 15-year marriage was over. My wife had betrayed me in the most fundamental way possible. I was starting over at 42. Alone. But I was sleeping through the night for the first time in months. I wasn't wondering where Lena was or who she was with. I wasn't making excuses for her behavior or pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. Yeah, I said, I'm okay. Good. You deserve better than what she gave you. After Kara left, Frankie raised his beer. To new beginnings. To new beginnings. We drank and I thought about what came next. The house felt empty, but it was mine. The business was thriving. I had friends who'd stood by me, neighbors who'd helped me see the truth, and a future that was uncertain but honest. 6 months later, I ran into Jessica at the grocery store. She looked good, better than she had in years, actually. Eli, how are you? Good. You? Really good. The divorce is final. I got the house, and Noah's paying child support. How about you? Can't complain. Business is good. I heard you're building that new shopping center on Route 9. Yeah, biggest project we've ever taken on. That's wonderful. You know, I never thank you properly for what you did. Bringing those photos to light, I mean. I might never have found the courage to leave him otherwise. You don't need to thank me. We both got screwed over. We both deserved better. Still, you could have handled it quietly, but you made sure everyone knew what kind of man he really was. That took guts. Or stupidity. I'm still not sure which. She laughed. Definitely guts. As I drove home, I thought about Lena's last words to me at the bar. You'll regret this. She was wrong. I regretted marrying someone who could betray me so completely. I regretted wasting 15 years on a woman who saw me as a stepping stone to something better. I regretted not seeing the signs sooner. But I didn't regret exposing the truth. I didn't regret making sure everyone knew what kind of people Noah and Lena really were. And I sure as hell didn't regret walking away from a marriage that was built on lies. Some men might have taken Lena back, might have tried to work things out, might have believed her promises to change. But I'm not some men. I'm a man who builds things that last, and I don't waste time on foundations that can't be trusted. The house was quiet when I got home, but it was a good quiet. Peaceful, honest. I grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat on the back deck, looking out at the yard Lena and I had planted together years ago. Tomorrow, I'd start tearing out her flower garden and putting in a workshop. It was time to build something new. The end. Final character count, 18,547 characters. I noticed this story is significantly under the required 40 to 50,000 character count. Let me expand it to meet the requirements by adding more detailed scenes, dialogue, and character development. Common. The Real Man's Dance. The company awards dinner was supposed to end at 9. It was 10:30. And my wife Lena was still grinding against her work husband on the dance floor, like they were auditioning for a porno. The DJ was playing some slow R&B bullshit, and every few seconds, Noah Bennett would whisper something in her ear that made her throw her head back and laugh like he'd just told her the funniest joke in the world.
I'm Eli Parker,
42 years old, owner of Parker Construction Company. I build things that last. Houses, commercial buildings, parking garages, strip malls, real stuff. Solid stuff that'll still be standing when the next generation needs somewhere to live and work. Not like the bullshit tech company where my wife works, TechFlow Solutions, where they push pixels around on computer screens and call it innovation, charging clients $50,000 for websites that look like something a high school kid could build in his bedroom. Another beer, Eli? The waitress, a young blonde named Sarah who'd been working the hotel circuit for years, looked sympathetic. Everyone in the ballroom could see what was happening on that dance floor, and most of them were trying real hard not to stare. Some weren't trying at all. Sure, thanks. I kept my voice steady and calm, watching Lena's hands slide down Noah Bennett's back like she was checking for weapons. Noah, the Golden Boy VP with his white Tesla Model S and his CrossFit membership and his perfect teeth that probably cost more than most people make in 6 months. The guy who'd been, quote, mentoring my wife for the past 6 months, helping her, quote, reach her full potential in the company. Lena threw her head back again, laughing at something Noah whispered in her ear. Her red dress, the one I had bought her for our 15th wedding anniversary last month, rode up her thighs as she pressed closer to him. The dress had cost me $800 at Nordstrom, and she'd kissed me when I gave it to her, told me it was perfect, told me I had great taste. Now she was wearing it while she dry-humped another man in front of half the town. Jesus Christ, Eli, aren't you going to do something about that? That was my buddy Frank Morrison from high school, sitting at the next table with his wife Carol. Frank ran Morrison's Auto Repair on Main Street, and he'd never been one to keep his mouth shut when he saw something that pissed him off.
Like what, Frank?
Like, go over there and remind your wife she's married to you, not that pretty boy asshole. I took a long sip of my Budweiser, feeling the cold liquid slide down my throat. Nah, let her dance. She's having fun. Carol Morrison leaned forward, her face flushed with embarrassment and anger. Honey, everyone's staring at you. This is embarrassing. For you, I mean. That woman is making a fool of herself, and by extension, she's making a fool of you. She was right, of course. Half the room was watching the show Lena was putting on. Her friend Cara Delacroix was even filming it on her iPhone, giggling like a teenager at a boy band concert. Cara worked at the bank downtown and knew everyone's business, which meant by tomorrow morning, the whole town would know about Lena's performance tonight. The other half of the room were pretending not to look, studying their dinner plates or having suddenly intense conversations about the weather, which was almost worse than the ones who were openly staring. The song ended, finally. But Lena didn't come back to our table. Instead, she and Noah headed to the bar, his hand on the small of her back, guiding her through the crowd like she belonged to him. Like I wasn't sitting 20 feet away watching the whole thing. I pulled out my phone and texted Frankie Kowalski, my foreman, and the closest thing to a best friend I had these days. It's on. Plan A. 3 dots appeared immediately on my screen. Then, about damn time, boss. I was wondering how much more of this shit you were going to take. Frankie had been telling me for months that something was wrong with Lena. He'd seen her car at places it shouldn't be, at times when she'd told me she was somewhere else. He'd offered to dig deeper, to find out what was really going on. But I'd told him to mind his own business. I guess I was hoping I was wrong, hoping there was some innocent explanation for all the little things that had been adding up. Lena finally returned to our table 20 minutes later, lipstick smudged, hair mussed, looking like she'd just been thoroughly kissed. She slid into her chair without looking at me, immediately reaching for her wine glass. Having fun? I asked, keeping my voice conversational. It's a work event, Eli. I'm networking, building relationships that could help advance my career. You should try it sometime instead of sitting here drinking beer and sulking. That what they're calling it now? Networking? She shot me a look that could have melted steel. Don't start with your jealous bullshit. Noah is a colleague, a friend. We work together every day. And yes, we're close. That's how professional relationships work in the modern world.
Wouldn't dream of starting anything. I raised my beer bottle in a mock toast. Here's to networking.
And to professional relationships. and to my wife's career advancement. The ride home was silent, except for the classic rock station playing quietly on the radio. Lena stared out the passenger window of my F-150, still glowing from her networking session with Noah. I drove carefully through the empty streets of our small New Hampshire town, thinking about the photographs Frankie had taken from across the street last Tuesday afternoon. Lena and Noah entering the Lakeside Motel at 2 p.m., leaving at 4:30, both looking satisfied and disheveled. Her Honda Accord parked behind the building where it wouldn't be seen from the main road. "You're awfully quiet tonight," Lena said as we pulled into the driveway of our two-story colonial on Maple Street, the house I had built with my own hands 12 years ago, back when we were still planning to fill it with kids. "Just tired. Long day at the site. Maybe if you tried harder to fit in at these company events, you wouldn't feel so out of place. These people are important, Eli. They have influence, connections. They could help your business if you bothered to make an effort." "Fit in how? By dancing with other people's wives?" She slammed her car door hard enough to rattle the windows. "God, you're impossible. You're so fucking stubborn and small-minded. No wonder you can't see the bigger picture." Inside the house, she went straight upstairs to our bedroom. I heard the shower running for a long time, then the hairdryer, then the sound of drawers opening and closing. By the time I brushed my teeth and got into bed, she was already asleep on her side of the mattress, or pretending to be. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe, thinking about tomorrow morning. Frankie had done his job perfectly over the past few weeks. So had Mrs. Gannon, our 70-year-old neighbor who saw everything from her kitchen window and forgot nothing. Between the two of them, I had enough evidence to bury Lena and her boyfriend so deep they'd need a backhoe to dig themselves out. At 7 a.m. sharp, I was in the kitchen making coffee and scrambled eggs when Lena came downstairs in her pink terry cloth robe, the one I'd bought her for Christmas 3 years ago. She looked beautiful, even with bedhead and no makeup, which made what was coming both easier and harder at the same time. "Morning," she mumbled, reaching for her favorite mug, the one that said "World's Greatest Wife" that I'd given her as a joke on our 10th anniversary. "Sleep well?" "Fine." She poured coffee, added cream and 2 sugars the way she always did. "What time did we get home last night? I feel like I was hit by a truck." "Maybe that's guilt catching up with you." She froze with the mug halfway to her lips. "What's that supposed to mean?" Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Lena frowned, glancing at the kitchen clock. "Who the hell is here at 7 in the morning?" "I'll get it." I walked to the front door, knowing exactly who I'd find on the other side. Jessica Bennett stood on my porch, holding a manila envelope in her trembling hands. She was a small woman, maybe 5'2", with short brown hair and tired eyes that looked like they'd been crying recently. Behind her stood Mrs. Gannon, clutching her black leather purse like a weapon and wearing the stern expression she usually reserved for teenagers who walked across her lawn. "Morning, ladies. Come on in. Coffee's fresh." Lena appeared in the kitchen doorway, tying her robe tighter around her waist. "Jessica, Mrs. Gannon, what are you two doing here so early?" Jessica held up the manila envelope with shaking hands. "I think you know exactly why we're here, Lena." "I have no idea what you're talking about. Cut the shit." Jessica's voice was steady despite her obvious nervousness. "I know about the motel. I know about the credit card charges at restaurants I've never been to. I know about the text messages, the phone calls, the lies. I know about everything." Lena's face went white as fresh snow. "Jessica, I think there's been some kind of misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding." Mrs. Gannon spoke for the first time, her voice carrying the authority of someone who'd lived through 8 decades and seen every kind of human foolishness. "I saw you two last Tuesday afternoon and Thursday, and last weekend when you told your husband you were shopping with that Kara girl." "Mrs. Gannon, I don't know what you think you saw, but—" "I saw my neighbor's wife acting like a common whore," the old woman said matter-of-factly. "And I saw that man's hands all over you in places they had no business being, right there in broad daylight, bold as brass." Jessica opened the manila envelope and pulled out a stack of 8x10 photographs. Lena and Noah kissing in the motel parking lot. Lena and Noah entering room 237. Noah's hand on her ass. Noah pinning Lena against the door while she fumbled with the keycard. The images were crystal clear, taken with a telephoto lens from across the street. "Your friend Kara sent these to Eli by mistake last night," Jessica said, her voice getting stronger. She meant to send them to her sister, apparently. Something about Lena's new boy toy and how some women have all the luck. Lena sank into one of our kitchen chairs like her legs had given out. Eli, I can explain. Can you? I poured myself more coffee, perfectly calm, because I'd really love to hear this explanation. It's not what it looks like. What does it look like, honey? Don't call me honey. Not like that. Not with that tone. Jessica laughed. But there was no humor in it. She's worried about pet names? Lady, you've been screwing my husband for 6 months, and you're concerned about how your husband talks to you? It wasn't supposed to happen, Lena said, looking down at her hands. We connected. At work. He understands me in ways that other people don't. He understands you? I set down my coffee mug very carefully. What exactly don't I understand about you, Lena? Help me out here. Explain it to me like I'm one of those stupid construction workers you're always complaining about. She looked up, and for just a second, I saw the woman I'd married 15 years ago. Young and hopeful and full of dreams. Then her face hardened into the mask she'd been wearing for the past year. You wouldn't get it, Eli. You're not ambitious. You're content building other people's dreams instead of chasing your own. Noah has vision. He's going places. He sees the big picture. Like the big picture window at the lakeside motel? Fuck you. Mrs. Gannon gasped like she'd been slapped. Jessica started crying again. Quiet tears running down her cheeks. I just nodded slowly. There we go. The real Lena finally comes out to play. I turned to Jessica. You okay to drive home, or do you want me to call someone? I think I'm okay. I needed to see her face when she knew that I knew. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. After they left, Lena and I sat in silence for a long time. She stared at the kitchen table like it held the secrets of the universe. I watched her, memorizing this moment, the exact second when 15 years of marriage officially died. So what happens now? She finally asked. Now? Now you get to see what happens when you humiliate a man in public and think there won't be consequences. Eli, please, we can work this out. It was a mistake. A stupid, terrible mistake that got out of hand. I'll end it with Noah right now. I'll quit my job if I have to. We can start over somewhere else, move to a different town where nobody knows about this. I almost laughed. Start over? Lena, half the town watched you grinding on another man last night like you were trying to start a fire. The other half is going to hear about it by lunchtime today. So what? People will forget. They always do. Some other scandal will come along and everyone will move on. Will they? Will they forget when they see you at the grocery store, at the bank, at church? Will they forget when they're deciding who to hire for their construction projects and they remember that Eli Parker's wife made him look like a fool? She started crying then. Real tears instead of the fake ones she used when she wanted something from me. I'm sorry, Eli. I'm so fucking sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. Yeah, you are sorry, but not the way you mean it. I stood up and grabbed my keys from the hook by the door. I'm going to work. I'm a regular. When I get home tonight, I want you gone. Gone where? I don't give a damn where you go. Maybe Noah has room at his place. Oh, wait. His wife's probably throwing him out too, isn't she? Eli, wait. But I was already out the door, climbing into my truck, leaving her sitting at our kitchen table in her pink bathrobe, crying into her coffee. At the construction site, Frankie was waiting for me with a cup of coffee from Dunkin' Donuts and a shit-eating grin that stretched from ear to ear. How'd it go, boss? Like clockwork. Jessica play her part okay. Like she was born for the stage. Turns out she's been suspicious for months, ever since Noah started working late every Tuesday and Thursday. She just needed proof to confirm what she already knew in her gut. And Mrs. Gannon? That old lady's tougher than a $2 steak and twice as sharp. She's been documenting everything in a little notebook. Times, dates, license plate numbers, descriptions of what she saw. Better than hiring a private investigator. I looked around the construction site where we were building a new strip mall for a local developer. Nothing fancy or glamorous, just solid work that would provide jobs and services for the community. Good foundations, quality materials, attention to detail. Everything that mattered in construction and in life. What's the next phase of the plan? Frankie asked. Phase 2. You still got that friend who works at Verizon? Yeah, my cousin Tony. Why? I want to know every call, every text message, every email between Lena and her boyfriend for the past 6 months. Everything they said to each other. Everything they planned. That legal? She's still my wife, and we're on a joint phone plan. Everything's in my name. I pay all the bills. Perfectly legal for me to request records of my own account. Frankie's grin got even wider. I'll make some calls. By noon, I had everything I needed and more. Screenshots of text messages that would make a sailor blush. Voicemails where Noah called me that construction gorilla, and Lena laughed and agreed that I was too stupid to figure out what's happening right under my nose. Photos they'd sent each other that I definitely didn't want to see, but needed to keep as evidence. But the real goldmine was their planning. They'd been careful, or thought they had been. Lena told Noah she was visiting her sister in Portland last month, when she actually spent 3 days with him at some fancy bed and breakfast in Vermont. She told me Noah was, quote, just a friend and colleague, while texting him about how much she loved his cock and couldn't wait to feel it inside her again. The best part, though, was their long-term plan to get rid of me. We just need to be patient a little longer, Noah had texted 2 weeks ago. Once I get the VP promotion confirmed and the salary bump kicks in, I'll have enough money saved to help you hire a really good divorce lawyer. We can make sure you get the house and at least half of his construction business. Lena's response made my blood boil. I can't wait to be free of him. He has no idea what's coming. Sometimes I look at him and wonder how I wasted so many years on such a boring, unambitious man. I forwarded everything to Maggie Chen, the lawyer who'd handled the legal work when I incorporated my business 5 years ago. When she merged and we'd known each other since high school, and I trusted her to give me straight answers. Jesus Christ, Eli, she said when she called me back an hour later. This is absolutely brutal. I mean, I've seen some nasty divorce cases, but this is next-level betrayal. Can we use all of it in court? Every single text, every photo, every voicemail? She's not just cheating on you, she's actively planning to financially destroy you. Any judge will see this as premeditation and malicious intent. What about the business? With this evidence, she'll be lucky to get any spousal support at all, let alone half your company. This shows clear intent to defraud you of marital assets through deception. How long will it take? With evidence this comprehensive, we could have divorce papers filed by Friday and a preliminary hearing scheduled within 2 weeks. New Hampshire has pretty streamlined procedures for cases involving adultery and financial misconduct. When I got home that evening, Lena's Honda was still in the driveway. I found her in the living room with 2 suitcases in a cardboard box, looking lost and defeated. I thought I told you to be gone by the time I got home. I don't have anywhere to go. Noah's not answering his phone, and Jessica changed all the locks on their house. She also called his boss and got him suspended pending an investigation into workplace conduct violations. Not my problem. Eli, please. Can't we talk about this like 2 adults who used to love each other? Adults don't fuck their coworkers in cheap motels while planning to steal their spouse's business. She flinched like I'd hit her. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. Angry? I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. Honey, I'm way past angry. I'm in a whole different zip code from angry. I'm in the land of cold, calculated revenge. What do you want from me? What can I do to make this right? I want you to understand something. You think I'm just some dumb construction worker who builds things with his hands while you push papers around and call it important work. But I built something with you, Lena. 15 years of marriage, a home, a life, a partnership. And you tore it all down for what? Some pretty boy with a fancy car and a corporate title? It's not about the car or the title. It's about respect. And you don't have any. Not for me. Not for our marriage. Not for the vows you made. Not even for yourself. She was crying again, mascara running down her cheeks. I made a terrible mistake. No. A mistake is forgetting to pay the electric bill. A mistake is burning dinner because you got distracted. What you did was make a series of deliberate choices over a period of months. You chose to lie to me. You chose to betray our marriage. You chose to plan my financial destruction. Those weren't mistakes. They were decisions. So what happens now? What's your plan for revenge? I picked up one of her suitcases and headed for the front door. Now you leave, and tomorrow you get to start explaining to everyone in town why your marriage fell apart. You're going to tell people the details? I don't have to tell anyone anything. You already did that yourself last night, remember? Dancing with your boyfriend in front of half the town like you were auditioning for a porn movie. She followed me to the door, stumbling a little. Where am I supposed to go? I don't have any money. My credit cards are maxed out from the hotel bills and the dinners and the gifts. Call Kara. She seemed to really enjoy watching you make a fool of yourself and filming it for posterity. Maybe she'll let you crash on her couch. Eli, please, I'm begging you. Don't do this. Don't throw away 15 years over one stupid mistake. I'm not throwing anything away, Lena. You already did that when you decided Noah's dick was more important than our marriage. I closed the door and turned the deadbolt with a satisfying click. Through the living room window, I watched her load her car with shaking hands and drive away into the darkness. Then I opened a beer, sat down in my recliner, and called Maggie. She's gone, I said when she answered. How are you holding up? Better than I expected, actually. What's our next move? I'll file the divorce papers first thing tomorrow morning. With the evidence we have, this should be relatively quick and clean. I'm also going to request an emergency hearing to freeze any joint assets and prevent her from accessing business accounts. Good. And Maggie, I want everything to be part of the public record. Every text message, every photo, every detail of what she did. I want anyone who's interested to be able to walk into the courthouse and read exactly why this marriage ended. Are you sure about that? It's going to be incredibly humiliating for her when word gets around. That's the whole point. Okay, but just so you know, it might get ugly. She might try to fight back, make accusations about you, claim abuse or something to muddy the waters. Let her try. I've got 15 years of being a faithful husband and dozens of witnesses to my character. What's she got? 6 months of documented lies and adultery? The next morning, I was at the construction site by 6 a.m., trying to lose myself in the familiar routine of work. But my phone started buzzing before I'd even finished my first cup of coffee. The first call was from my younger brother, Mike, who lived about an hour away in Manchester. Dude, is it true? About Lena and that guy from her company? Where'd you hear that? It's all over Facebook. Kara posted something about home-wrecking whores who get what they deserve and tagged like 50 people. The comment section is absolutely brutal. I pulled out my phone and checked Facebook. Sure enough, Kara had posted a long rant about fake friends who drag you into their lies and then expect you to cover for them. She'd included several of the photos from the motel, and the post had been shared dozens of times already. Yeah, it's true, I told Mike. Jesus. I'm sorry, man. That's fucked up. It is what it is. You need anything? You want to come stay with me and Sarah for a while? Thanks, but I'm good. I've got work to keep me busy. The second call was from my mother, who'd probably heard about it from one of her church friends. Eli, honey, I just heard the most awful rumors. Please tell me they're not true. They're not rumors, Mom. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. Your father and I never really liked that woman, but we didn't want to say anything because you seemed happy. What didn't you like about her? She was always so critical of you, of the town, of everything, always acting like she was too good for the life you'd built together. And the way she talked about your work, like it wasn't important or respectable, that always rubbed me the wrong way. Why didn't you ever say anything? Because you loved her, and we wanted you to be happy. But I always wondered if she really appreciated what she had. Turns out she didn't. Are you okay, honey? Do you need anything? I could come over and cook you some meals, clean the house. I'm fine, Mom. Just taking it one day at a time. Well, you know you're better off without her. A woman who would do something like that isn't worth the powder it would take to blow her to hell. My mother, always the diplomat. By lunchtime, I'd gotten calls from 6 more people, all wanting to know if the rumors were true. Frank from the auto shop, my accountant. The guy who delivered lumber to our job sites, even the pastor from the church Lena and I used to attend occasionally. I gave everyone the same answer. Ask Lena. Frankie found me in the construction trailer around 2 o'clock, looking over blueprints and trying to focus on work. You seen the latest news? He asked, settling into the folding chair across from my desk. What news? Noah got officially fired this morning. Apparently, Jessica sent all those photos and text messages to his boss and to HR. Something about zero tolerance for workplace sexual harassment and conduct violations. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Yeah, real shame. Also, word around town is that Lena's staying at the Riverside Motel out by the highway. You know, the shitty one where truckers rent rooms by the hour. How poetic, from the lakeside to the riverside. You want to know the best part? Kara's telling everyone who'll listen that Lena tried to get her to provide fake alibis and lie about where she was during those motel visits. Kara's pissed off that Lena tried to drag her into the whole mess. So much for loyal friendship. Yeah, well, you know what they say about honor among thieves. That afternoon, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, it was Lena. Eli, we need to talk. We're talking right now. In person, face to face, please. Why would I want to do that? Because I want to explain myself. Really, explain. Not just apologize and beg for forgiveness. Fine. Meet me at the Iron Kettle at 7 tonight. Can't we meet somewhere more private? The Iron Kettle at 7 or not at all. The Iron Kettle was the local dive bar where everyone went to drink cheap beer, eat greasy food, and catch up on town. Gossip. If Lena wanted to have a conversation, she could do it in front of an audience of her former friends and neighbors. I got there 15 minutes early and grabbed a booth in the back corner where I could see the whole room. The place was more crowded than usual for a Tuesday night, which meant word had definitely gotten around town. Half the people there probably came hoping to witness some drama. Lena walked in at exactly 7 o'clock, wearing jeans and a sweater I'd never seen before. She looked tired and older somehow, like the stress of the past few days had aged her. Several people turned to stare as she made her way to my table, and the conversations got noticeably quieter. She slid into the booth across from me, glancing nervously around the room. Thanks for agreeing to meet with me. Talk. I know you hate me right now. I don't hate you, Lena. I hate what you did, but I don't hate you. There's a difference. Is there really? Yeah, there is. I loved you for 15 years. I loved you more than anything else in my life. I would have done anything for you. Died for you if necessary. And you threw all of that away for what? 6 months of sneaking around with some corporate pretty boy who's probably already looking for his next conquest. It wasn't just about the sex, Ellie. No? Then what was it about? Help me understand. She looked around the bar again, clearly uncomfortable with all the attention we were getting. Can we please go somewhere more private to have this conversation? This is as private as it gets. Now answer the question. What was it about, if it wasn't just sex? He made me feel alive, important, like I mattered, like my thoughts and opinions had value. You didn't feel like you mattered to me? Not the way I wanted to. You were so content with our life, with our routine. Get up, go to work, come home, watch TV, go to bed. The same thing every single day for 15 years. That's called stability, Lena. That's called building something meaningful together.
It felt like dying, like I was slowly suffocating. The words hit me harder than I'd expected them to. Around us, the bar had gone almost completely quiet.
Everyone was listening to our conversation, and I could feel their eyes on us. So instead of talking to me about how you felt, instead of trying to work on our marriage, you decided to burn it all down. I tried to talk to you. Do you remember last year when I said I wanted us to travel more, see the world? You said we couldn't afford it. When I said I wanted to go back to school and get my master's degree, you said I didn't need more education. When I told you I felt stuck in a rut, you said I was being dramatic and ungrateful. I remembered those conversations, but I remembered them differently. I remembered practical discussions about budgets and responsibilities and long-term planning. So you found someone who told you exactly what you wanted to hear. He listened to me, Eli. He saw me as more than just a wife who keeps house and makes dinner and does laundry. I saw you as my partner, my equal, the person I chose to build a life with. Your equal? Really? Eli, you made every major decision in our marriage without consulting me. The house, the cars, the vacations, the investments. You'd come home and announce what we were doing, and I was supposed to smile and go along with it. That's not how I remember it. That's because you weren't really listening to me. You heard what you wanted to hear. Tom the bartender came over with 2 beers we hadn't ordered. All in the house, he said quietly. probably hoping to encourage us to keep talking so his customers could keep listening.
Lena took a sip of her beer and continued.
I'm not saying what I did was right. It was wrong, and I know that. It was selfish and hurtful and destructive. But I felt invisible in our marriage, Eli. Like I was just there.
Taking up space, going through the motions. So instead of working on our marriage, instead of fighting for what we had, you decided to work on Noah Bennett. A few people at the bar chuckled, and Lena's face turned red. That's not fair, and you know it. Fair? You want to talk about what's fair? Let me tell you what's not fair. What's not fair is finding out that your wife has been lying to your face for 6 months. What's not fair is watching her grind on another man in front of half the town like she's proud of what she's doing. What's not fair is reading text messages where she calls you stupid and makes plans to steal half your business. You had no right to read my private messages. Private messages sent on a phone plan that I pay for? Private messages planning to defraud me of assets I spent 15 years building? I had every right. That's a violation of my privacy. Privacy? I laughed, and several people in the bar turned to look at us. You gave up any expectation of privacy when you started fucking another woman's husband and plotting against your own. The entire bar was dead silent now. You could have heard a pin drop. Lena looked around, finally realizing how this must look to everyone. Her sitting in a public place, arguing with her husband, while the whole town listened to the details of her affair. I want half of everything, she said quietly, trying to regain some control of the situation. You want what now? Half the house, half the business, half the savings? I'm entitled to it under New Hampshire law. Based on what legal theory? 15 years of marriage. I contributed to building what we have. I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots that Frankie's cousin had provided. Based on these text messages where you and Noah plan to, quote, take that construction gorilla for everything he's worth, end quote. Based on documented evidence that you were planning to commit fraud? Her face went completely white.
You can't use those in divorce court.
Watch me. My lawyer says they're not only admissible, they're smoking gun evidence of malicious intent. Eli, please. I know I hurt you, and I know I made terrible decisions, but I still deserve something. I gave you 15 years of my life, and I gave you 15 years of mine. The difference is I was faithful. I was honest. I was building our future instead of planning to destroy it. So what am I supposed to do now? I don't have anywhere to live. I don't have any money. Noah won't even return my phone calls. Shocking development. It's almost like he was just using you for sex and had no intention of building a real relationship. Don't say that. What? Don't point out that your knight in shining armor dumped you the second things got complicated. Don't mention that he's probably already trolling the office for his next married conquest. Stop it. You're being cruel. You know what I think happened? I think Noah saw an unhappy, naive wife and decided to have some fun. I think he told you everything you wanted to hear about how special and intelligent and underappreciated you were. I think he made you feel like the most important woman in the world while he was getting what he wanted. And now that his wife knows and his job is gone and the whole thing is blown up in his face, he's done with you. She didn't have an answer for that, which was answer enough. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to hire a lawyer, assuming you can find one willing to take your case. I'm going to hire a lawyer. We're going to divide our assets according to what the law actually says, not what you think you deserve based on your sense of entitlement. And then we're going to go our separate ways and never speak to each other again. What if I don't want a divorce? What if I want to try to save our marriage? Then you should have thought about that before you spread your legs for another man in a cheap motel room. Several people in the bar gasped audibly. Lena started crying, tears streaming down her face. I made a mistake, Eli. A terrible, stupid mistake. But can't you find it in your heart to forgive me? Can't we try to rebuild what we had? Some mistakes can't be forgiven, Lena. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed. You didn't just cheat on me. You betrayed everything we built together. You lied to my face for months. You made plans to destroy me financially. You humiliated me in public. That's not a mistake. That's a complete betrayal of everything marriage is supposed to mean. So that's it? 15 years and you're just going to throw it all away? I'm not throwing anything away. You already did that when you decided your orgasms were more important than your marriage vows. I stood up and threw a $20 bill on the table. Good luck, Lena. You're going to need it. As I walked toward the door, I heard her call out desperately, "You'll regret this, Eli. Someday you'll realize what you lost, and you'll regret throwing it away." I turned back to face her one last time.
I already know exactly what I lost. I lost a wife who didn't respect me enough to stay faithful. I lost a partner who didn't love me enough to be honest. I lost a woman who saw me as nothing more than a meal ticket and a stepping stone to something better. You're absolutely right. I'll regret losing all of that. The bar erupted in whispers and murmurs as I walked out into the cool night air. 3 weeks later, the divorce was finalized. Lena got $20,000 from our savings account, her car, and her personal belongings. I kept the house, the business, and what was left of my self-respect. The judge had been particularly unsympathetic to her request for spousal support after reviewing the evidence of her affair and her plans to defraud me. She left town the same day the papers were signed, driving away in her Honda with everything she owned packed into the back seat and trunk. I heard through the grapevine that she'd moved to Portland to stay with her sister while she tried to figure out what to do with her life. Noah, meanwhile, was working at a telemarketing company in Manchester, his corporate career effectively over. Word was that Jessica had gotten the house, the kids, and a substantial alimony settlement in their divorce. I was at the Iron Kettle 6 months later, celebrating the completion of our biggest construction project ever, when Cara Delacroix walked in. She'd been avoiding me since the whole story broke, probably feeling guilty about her role in documenting and spreading the news of Lena's affair. "Eli," she said, approaching the table where Frankie and I were sitting. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" "Sure, have a seat." "I want you to know that I had no idea how serious things had gotten between Lena and Noah. I thought it was just harmless flirting, maybe some emotional affair stuff. I never imagined they were actually fucking in motel rooms." She winced. "Yeah, that. But you were taking pictures and sharing them with people." "For gossip, you know. I'm terrible about that stuff, always have been. But I never thought she'd actually destroy her marriage over it. I thought she was smarter than that. Apparently not. Are you doing okay? I mean, really okay?" I considered the question seriously. Was I okay? My 15-year marriage was over. My wife had betrayed me in the most fundamental way possible. I was starting over at 42, alone in a house that felt too big and too quiet. But I was sleeping through the night for the first time in months. I wasn't wondering where Lena was or who she was with. I wasn't making excuses for her behavior or pretending everything was fine when it clearly wasn't. I wasn't walking on eggshells, afraid to say the wrong thing and trigger another argument about my lack of ambition or vision. "Yeah," I said finally. "I'm okay. Better than okay, actually." "Good. You deserve so much better than what she gave you." After Cara left, Frankie raised his beer bottle. "To new beginnings, boss. To new beginnings." We drank, and I thought about what came next. The house felt empty sometimes, but it was mine. The business was thriving. We'd just landed 3 new contracts based on referrals from satisfied customers. I had friends who'd stood by me through the whole mess, neighbors who'd helped me see the truth, and a future that was uncertain, but honest. A year later, I ran into Jessica Bennett at the grocery store. She looked good, healthier and happier than I'd seen her in years. "Eli, how are you doing?" "Can't complain. You?" "Really good, actually. The divorce is final, I got the house, and Noah's paying child support. The kids are adjusting well. How about you?" "Business is booming. Just finished that new shopping center on Route 9. "I heard about that. Biggest project Parker Construction has ever taken on, right?" "Yeah, and it came in on time and under budget. Word of mouth is a powerful thing in this business." "I'm sure it is. You know, I never properly thanked you for what you did. Bringing those photos to light, I mean. Making sure everyone knew the truth about what kind of people they really were. You don't need to thank me for that. We both got screwed over by people we trusted. We both deserve better. Still, you could have handled the whole thing quietly, kept it private, but you made sure the whole town knew exactly what kind of man Noah was and what kind of woman Lena was. That took courage. Or stupidity. I'm still not entirely sure which." She laughed, a genuine sound of amusement.
Definitely courage, and I'm glad you did it.
It saved other women from making the same mistake I did. As I drove home that evening,
I thought about Lena's parting words to me at the iron kettle. You'll regret this. She was wrong about that, just like she'd been wrong about so many other things. I regretted marrying someone who could betray me so completely and feel justified doing it. I regretted wasting 15 years on a woman who saw me as nothing more than a stepping stone to something she thought was better. I regretted not seeing the signs sooner, not trusting my instincts when things started feeling wrong. But I didn't regret exposing the truth about what she'd done. I didn't regret making sure everyone in town knew exactly what kind of people Lena and Noah really were underneath their polished exteriors. And I sure as hell didn't regret walking away from a marriage that had been built on lies and sustained by my willingness to ignore reality. Some men might have taken Lena back. Some men might have tried to work things out, might have believed her promises to change and be faithful. Some men might have been willing to forgive and forget in the name of preserving their marriage. But I'm not some men. I'm a man who builds things that are meant to last, and I don't waste time or materials on foundations that can't be trusted. When something is broken beyond repair, the smart thing to do is tear it down and start over with better materials. The house was quiet when I got home, but it was a good kind of quiet. Peaceful, honest, clean. I grabbed a beer from the refrigerator and sat on the back deck, looking out at the yard that Lena and I had landscaped together in better times. Tomorrow I'd start tearing out her flower garden and putting in a workshop. It was time to build something new. Something that would last, something I could be proud of, and this time I'd make sure the foundation was solid.